Bye! My name is Josh Miller. I own Riverstone Kennels, and I've been training gun dogs for more than 16 years. I have field trialed, I've hunt tested, but at the end of the day, I'm a duck hunter. You might find that the duck in our DUK Dogs podcast is spelled uniquely. The UK stands for my British Labs. I love my British Labs. I love what they offer me, both as a part of my family and the high motor in the field. As you're going to find, I have some pretty special dogs. Follow along in our podcast series here as we talk about both in the field hunting and in the field training situations that will hopefully help you progress with your dog at home. Welcome back to DUK Dogs. Hope you guys are off to a fantastic week. I'm settling back here into my office and have a bunch to catch up on. So before we get going here, let's be sure to thank our wonderful partners that make this show possible. Thank you to Eukanuba Premium Performance Sport 3020 is the blend of food that I feed my personal dogs and the dogs at the kennel. Especially as you head into the season, be sure that you are feeding your dog a high quality blend of food. Very, very important. Fuel your dog like the athlete that they are. www.eukanuba.com. Also, thank you to Sitka Gear. Sitka Gear is your premium option for your outdoor clothing as you hit the field this fall. So go check out the lineup here and get what you need at www.sitkagear.com. Also, thank you to Lucky Duck. Lucky Duck is your 5-star crash test rated kennel, both in the intermediate and in the large size. So no matter how big or small your 4-legged hunting partner is, you can be sure that they're traveling as safe as they possibly can. www.luckyduck.com. Also, thank you to Kent Cartridge. Kent is the shotgun shell of choice for us as we head into the fall season. I love, especially as you talk about ducks, I love that Kent bismuth. So go check it out and stock up, www.kentcartridge.com. Thank you to Gun Dog Supply. Gun Dog Supply is your one-stop shop for all of your hunting and training needs. And as you head into season, whether it's blinds or vests or whatever you need, make sure you go check out the people that do it best for the people like us. www.gundogsupply.com. And also thank you to Retriever Roadmap. Retriever Roadmap is your premium go-to option for online training yourself at home. It will walk you through from picking out your puppy all the way through handling on those blind retrieves. www.retrieverroadmap.com. And also keep in mind that you get, as a DUK Dogs listener, $100 off that entry fee. Use the code DD for DUK Dogs, DD100, to get your discount on Retriever Roadmap. That's been a fantastic one. A lot of DUK Dog listeners in there that have just been raving about it, so go check it out. All right, you guys. Hope you guys are off to a fantastic day. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not. Kind of one of those days. So I'll kind of backtrack here and tell you guys what it is that that we have going on here. So I am at home, and Whitney got on a plane. So we just got home from Kansas, and then Whitney turned around, got on a plane, and headed out to Oregon, where she is going to be doing a little wine tour, massages, be on the beach. She's never been to Oregon before, so it's a new deal for her with a friend, and she's excited and she's jacked up, and which is fantastic, and I absolutely love that for her. The thing is that she leaves me home alone. Now, this is where I tend to really understand and appreciate everything that she does while I am gone during the season. Because everything that I am dealing with now, she deals with on a very regular basis, and understandably so I see more of a glimpse behind the curtain of the things she does that makes her superwoman to me. But she took off for the airport here early this morning, and here's how my day started, okay? First, I go out, I make a coffee, and go out, and I'm going to let all the dogs out. So we have an exercise pen. When you have 15 dogs, you kind of need to have something to keep them all contained. Otherwise, someone is going to slip off when you're do something goofy, or just get to playing, lose track of where they are, run down to the lake. We have a small lake on our farm, or run up to the kennel, which, as you can imagine, the boys especially, as they breed a couple times, which is always at the kennel, boy, they start thinking the kennel is a pretty awesome place to be. And so if they can, they're going to sneak up there. So we have a exercise pen at our house. So we go out and I let all the dogs out, and they're all running around playing, and I'm kind of looking around. I'm like, where's Solo? Didn't know. So I started looking around for Solo. I'm calling for him, and I'm like, he's probably up at the kennel. The chore girls were up there doing chores. So I'm like, okay, now I have to go up there. Okay, so I come in the house to get some different shoes on, and there's my 4-year-old daughter up extra early. And she's like, oh, I have this itch, bug itch. Okay, sounds good. So I take care of that. Well, then my 2-year-old son pops up out of bed again way early. And then he's needy, of course. And this is normally where I'd be like, hey, Whit, like, you be mom. I'll go find, what Solo's doing. Go bring him back down here. So anyway, it took me a long time to satisfy those two, to the point that I could sneak away and get up to the kennel. So I get up to the kennel, chore girls, I'm like, hey, did you guys see Solo? They're like, nope. And I'm like, you have not seen Solo up here? And they're like, no, we haven't. And normally they just stick right around. Like, you've got to be kidding me. I mean, my dogs don't go anywhere. They don't run. They're not out of control. They don't do that stuff. So this is an abnormality to begin with. But now I'm like, well, what in the world, right? But I got to get back down to the house, because the kids, I'm sure at this point, because I've been gone for more than 60 seconds, are like, what in the world is going on? So I get back down to the house. Then I got to try to find Solo. Then I'm doing all this. And so Whitney calls, going through security, and I'm like, hey. And she's like, what's going on? And I'm like, well, if you really want to know, I don't know where Solo is. And I thought he took off up to the kennel, went up there. He's not up there. I've got the kids that are, we're already at this point now, we're starting to run a little behind. And she's like, Josh, he's in the laundry room. And I'm like, okay. She's like, you do not remember bringing him in last night? I'm like, yes, I do. And she's like, well, you put him in. I said, yes, I understand. Thank you. So I go in, open up the laundry room, and there is, and she had said Breeze is in there too. And Breeze is our 12, I think she's going on 13-year-old setter. And so there's Solo, happy as can be, one relief. But then I look over, and Breeze, who just getting older, will do this every once in a great while, has had diarrhea all over the room. So now I got to try to get this cleaned up while getting the kids. And normally, now, there's a caveat to this. Normally, this wouldn't have been that major of a deal, because I could just take my time, get this stuff done, and get the kids to daycare whenever I can get them there. If they're 15 minutes late, that is what it is. But Ava started a new school, so it's called 4K. We didn't have 4K when I was in school. Apparently, it's like the prerequisite to kindergarten. I guess we just call it preschool, but 4K. So now she's in a private school, and so they're very strict. Like, you have to be here at this time. You have to be picked up at this time. So all of a sudden, my freedom is gone. So I'm sitting, and all of you parents are probably sitting there laughing, going, you haven't been there, right? But like, I have not been here before. So I am like starting to get to, I'm a little edgy now, but I'm trying not to let the kids see it. I'm trying not to let the dog see it. I'm sure as heck not going to let Whitney see it, because she does this kind of crap all the time. So I cannot let her be gone for 30 minutes to an hour and all of a sudden have this moment of weakness where I can't do this. So I need to keep it all together. So get the kids in, get them to school. Everybody's good. Get them dropped off. Get back to the house, and then start cleaning everything. So that has been my morning so far. Yes, I got everything cleaned up. Yes, everybody's happy and sound and everything that they should be, which is great. But it was a less than ideal way to start off, the Wednesday that I have here today. So I hope your day has started off better than mine did. But I actually love that Whitney is going on a vacation. This is a woman that does not work. I mean, think about her job and what she does. When there's puppies on the ground, it's a 24/7 thing. But when they're not on the ground, she has a bunch of freedom, but she always has to be mom. And so for her to take this time for herself, I think is really important. I think it will be very rewarding for her to do this. I think it's absolutely fantastic. But she's struggled. You hear all the time that it's hard to find good help. It's hard to find people that want to work. It's hard to find. That has been a real challenge with Whitney. And so for anyone out there who thinks they want to become a breeder, I'm telling you, like, not many people make it for very long. And so she has now had 2 or 3 gals that have apprenticed under her, been her assistant, and they just fizzle. And they all know what the job is going into it. They all understand that, like, you just can't control when a litter is being whelped, right? You can't control all this stuff, right? And then, like you are dealing with young little lives. So when you need to be present, you need to be present. But guess what? Like, Whitney doesn't have puppies for the next 4 months. So you would get 4 months basically off. Like I think it's like the best job in the world. And everybody thinks so to start. And then, like, the last girl that left, it was like, well, actually, we ended up probably going separate ways, mutually. But, all of a sudden it was on a weekend, and hey, we're having puppies. And it was, I don't think it's fair that I need to give up my weekends just because puppies are being born. Like, this is literally the job. Literally the job. We cannot control when a litter comes. And there's this, like, sense of entitlement. And I'm telling you, if someone would dedicate to Whitney, they would have a fantastic livelihood, doing something extremely rewarding, doing something that they would probably thoroughly love and enjoy. And, oh, by the way, yeah, you're working when you're working like crazy, but guess what? You get a ton of freaking freedom too. Like, I cannot believe that it is so hard to find somebody that will do that. And anyway, I'm not going to go completely down this rabbit hole, but this is one of the reasons why Whitney has struggled so much disconnecting. Our hunts are one thing. That's great. We look at that as work because we're always doing content. So if you guys have not checked it out, we're doing more on YouTube this year with our vlog style videos that we always did with like Instagram and Facebook. And we just, like, it just kills me that you put in all that time. So to give you guys an idea, if we had a story of a hunt in the morning, let's just say I'm in Arkansas, we hunt until 10:30, 11, we go have lunch, we come back, normally everybody would go take a nap, something like that. I would generally, now part of this has to do with poor cell and internet service, but I would usually spend about 3 hours or so putting those together and then getting them up. And had a ton of great feedback, had a ton of people that would very religiously watch that and look forward to those, and great comments. I loved every part of it. But you spend over 3 hours, and that's just putting it together. It's not shooting it. And then it's only lived for 24 hours. Like, it didn't make any sense to me. And so we're going to kind of migrate that stuff to YouTube so that it lives on forever. So if you miss the day, you can still come back and watch it. You can rewatch it. You can, I think there's a lot of good stuff in there. So, that's where I think it'll be neat to do that. So that's kind of what we're migrating to right now. But that is work for us, and so just good. I'm just super happy that she's on a vacation. So so let's talk about the dove hunt that I was just on, and then I actually got a pretty timely message this morning from another professional trainer friend of mine that I thought was worth reading to you. I asked him if I could read it. Worth reading to you guys. And I think, to me, a lot of this is just kind of about perspective. And I just kind of want to share with you guys, my hunt, my weekend, and then this message I think is very timely, wraps up. So, so the dove hunt in Kansas was fantastic. This is, I believe, our 5th or 6th year now doing this annually. We have a couple clients that we go down there with, and what's great about my job is that you build a lot of fantastic friendships and relationships. The difficult part about my job is that you build those fantastic friendships and relationships for 2 to 3 year span, usually as the dog's in for training, and then you tend to just lose contact. And it's not intentional, right? But it's like, when your dog isn't with me, I don't have a reason to talk to you on a daily or bi-daily basis. And when you have your dog and you're not training every day, like I'm not in the forefront of your mind, so just naturally you kind of drift apart a little bit. So this, with these clients, it's been so great to just, continuously go over and over again and make sure that that you get to at least have one touch point during every year to where we can see each other, we can come together, share laughs, share smiles. It's a really cool thing. I've really enjoyed it. And the dove hunt itself, like I think it's pretty fantastic, pretty fantastic way to bring together kind of the training and ease into the hunting season. It is super relaxed. It's super chill. I mean, it's just very, I don't know, like I just don't see it as stress at all. Very little decoys to set out. You don't have to do a big hide, so you're not there hours beforehand, right? And most of the time, we're sitting certainly within yelling distance, but, so we kind of razz each other on shots or like, what in the world was that? Or did you not see that one? It's a very different vibe, so I love that. But it is difficult for the dogs from a lot of levels. It's difficult because the size of the bird, very little scent. It is difficult because the scenting conditions are oftentimes as poor as they could possibly be. It's hot, it's dry, there's just nothing to help the dogs at all. And so although it is very relaxed, it is certainly not a gimme by any means. And I think that this early part of the season, and this could be doves, but could also be early honkers or early teal, right? Like, because it's easier on us, I think just naturally you think that this is easier on the dog, right? And it's not, especially for the dove side of it, but even for the other side, it's like, there's nothing easy about any of this. And so I brought Clyde for one of my clients to run, and he just adores Clyde, so he always wants to run him, which is great for me because then Clyde gets extra work. Then I brought Brock because I just love running Brock for me. I brought Tucker because he came off his redshirt season last year, and it was a good way to kind of ease him into it. And then Whitney had Purdy. So my big plan here was Tucker. And so with Tucker, what I did is I brought him into the field with the expectation that you are going to sit and watch Brock for at least the first 5 retrieves. And the reason I wanted to do that with him is, one, I just kind of I didn't want to take for granted that he had done well last season with his redshirt season. But he is also a dog that he's kind of on his toenails a little bit when we're training. Very jacked up. He's not whiny, he's not breaking, he's not anything, but he's ready to snap, right? You say his name is boom, he's gone. And so my approach is, more no than go. So ease him into this. So the first, 5 retrieves, he was perfect. Honored, fantastic, never moved, never flinched. And I wanted to make sure, so then after that, my next plan was, first 5, good, check it off. Then my next level of this plan was, I want the first one to be as much of a gimme as I can. Because if I sail one into sorghum, if I put one into long grass that I think is going to be hard to find, if he goes out there, and again, has never retrieved a dove ever, I showed it to him, did a little toss with one, just so we knew what he was looking for, but again, not the same. I don't want him to hunt out there for 2-3 minutes, get frustrated, get nervous, then all of a sudden I start going back. So had to be a gimme. So I think I shot one more, that was like, that's not it. And then the next one was like right on top of the decoys, boom, fell, wing was sticking up. It's like, good, go right there, right back. and was perfect. He was fantastic. So I went into this with a very strategic plan. And so I think at the end of the day, of my 15 birds, which is the limit, I think Brock retrieved 10 and Tucker retrieved 5. I thought that was a it was a big win for me. So then the next day when I go out, I'm trying to build off of then this first day. Okay, so I go out, I'm going to build off the first day. And I wanted to bring Tucker and just have one-on-one time with him. Now, Brock, of course, hated it, but Brock stayed back and just one-on-one me and Tucker. And at one, I think he deserved this. And this is, if you have 2 dogs, you understand this dynamic and how difficult it can be. This is why I always suggest to people, have a few years minimum between your dogs if you're going to have multiple dogs, because you're going to get to a point like I am here. Okay, so Brock is 8, Tucker's 2. So, like, I want to get Brock retrieved because you just never know, when that last season is going to be, right? Like, you would hope he's still got 5, 6 more seasons in him, but, well, maybe 5, that's probably much. Like at least 2 to 4, right, is what you'd hope. Gosh, that's kind of hard to think about. But the reality, right, you'd hope he has 2 to 4 more good years ahead of him, but you don't know. So you want to get him those retrieves, but also you've got this young gun coming up. You want to get him the exposure and him the retrieves and make sure he understands. So it's a kind of this yo-yo back and forth of kind of how you're feeling, what you want to do. So that's why it's very important for me to plan this stuff out. So day 2 is going to dedicate to Tucker, and we're just going to go out and just me and him, and I'm going to try to be fairly selective with my shots, but I did not shoot very well. And so here's the whole plan was going well, but I think to kill my 15 birds, I almost went through 2 boxes of shells. So 50 shots. Now, if you've never dove hunted before, you're going to laugh at that. If you have dove hunted before, you probably are like, yep, been there. It's just something about those little buggers. Like, you can have days that they make you feel like you're the best shot in the world, and then they can have days like that humble you very, very quickly. But it actually worked out great because it was just more time for him to sit and be steady and not think that everything, that every time a shot goes off, something goes down. Now, again, I think his redshirt season primed him for this, and he was ready to go for this, but regardless, it was a win. Now, he did have a few that he really struggled with, like times that I would have thought that was an easy retrieve for him. Runs right over it, goes way past it, can't find it, he's hunting all over the place, like stuff that I wouldn't expect out of him. Now, he is accomplished. He smoked his finish test this year. He did fantastic when he ran his tests. I know the dog he is because he's been training. He's an elite caliber dog. But, this is where, for me as a trainer, I think, okay, I'm going, this is where I get frustrated, I guess, is like, okay, I trained a dog all summer long, sent him home. This person now is going to go hunt him, and they expect that this is a push button thing. Like, I would think that a lot of my clients would probably watch that dog run over the bird and be like, well, what the heck? I sent him to the trainer. Like, in this case, I am the trainer. I am the owner. I developed this dog. I did all this stuff. Like, I get it. And I also, like, I would probably think that way if something went wrong in my truck and my mechanic couldn't figure it out and came back and the truck was still doing the same thing. Like, what the heck, right? I don't think it's quite the same. It's probably a poor analogy, but in this case, I'm like, oh, but I understood it. Okay, let's bring him back. Let's make him successful. I'll stop him right in that area. Tweet, tweet, tweet. Hunt whistle. Okay, right there. Boom. Good. Hey, pump him up, praise him, get him back, and we build on it. I'm telling you, he was fantastic. It was a pleasure to be with him. Now, he did have one pet peeve of mine that I can't really fault him for, but the only thing that was kind of a nuisance to be out with him is that he really panted. Like, the heat really got to him. Like, even when it wasn't overly hot, the heat got to him. And he was like, his tongue was like hanging out on because he likes to heel very close. So my left leg from like my knee to like my mid thigh was just soaked from him sitting the whole time. Minor, right? But no noise, completely steady, fantastic marking, great retrieves, like the whole thing. He did really, really well. But he had those moments. Okay. Day 3, we come out. It's a 4-day hunt. Day 3, we come out. Okay. Now I put Tucker away for a couple reasons. One, I don't want him to be thinking, hey, every morning we go out, every morning, a trigger post gets retrieved. That's where you start getting a dog that is on their toenails, big motor. And that's why all of a sudden you start seeing some of that stuff. You start seeing a break. You start seeing some out of controlness. You start seeing, hey, I know this. Let me go. I'm going to fight you on a whistle. I'm going to fight you on a cast. I'm going to fight you this stuff. So, hey, big dog, you're doing great. Take the morning off. Okay, don't think you're too crazy awesome. Okay, don't fight me on stuff. Okay, now Brock gets to come out. And Brock was Brock. Some of the like he has this knack of like his marking ability is fantastic. I mean, he had one that I actually have on video. If you go watch day 1 of the dove hunt on the Riverstone YouTube channel. I mean, I sailed this bird into some tall sorghum, and I mean, I looked down. I saw it go down. I'm like, I'm not sending a dog. And I looked down, and Brock's like dialed in. And I watched him for probably 4 or 5 seconds. I was pulling my phone out to record it, and I'm like, I don't know. So send him, goes right back there, hunt, 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 hunt. You see him pop out. He goes back in, hunt, 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 hunt. Pops out, goes back in. I think I even say in the video, hey, this one, so back there was a really tough one. We're going to give him some time, let him go. Some people, I think I even say this in the video, you might be asking yourself, why am I not handling him? Well, because as soon as I lose visual, like as soon as he goes into that sorghum, I can't see him, he can't see me. So how do I handle, right? He's in the area, he's hunting, let him do his thing. And sure enough, like I think I'm saying that, boom, he comes out with that bird. So I just felt like there was some really neat stuff. And then, Brock got to have, his time. And then the final day, we knew was going to be a quicker hunt because Whitney and I had a 10-hour drive ahead of us. We wanted to get home in enough time to see the kiddos, and then Whitney was leaving right away again. And so we knew we were only going to hunt for probably an hour and a half. And so I thought, hey, this is a perfect way to finish with Tucker. We come back out. He gets a quick hunt, gets to finish on a high note, and that's exactly what we did. And I was way slower, so there's more sitting around. But again, like this is just, I'm telling you guys, like, he is in, he redshirted last year. He's in his first season, and I already see it. Like, I know that his big motor and his mega drive, he's quiet, he's calm, he's under control, but training is not hunting. And I really feel like he would have been a dog that maybe would have pushed over the edge. And I don't want to deal with a breaking dog. I don't want to deal with a dog that gets vocal. I don't want to deal with all that stuff. So I truly, truly believe his redshirt season last year, although it was difficult to sit him, it's difficult for him to come out and watch and me not send him. But I believe we're exponentially further along as it sits today from what I saw this last weekend than what we would have been otherwise. I think we would have been fighting some stuff. I think he would have come out, immediately recalled the situation. Maybe those bad habits creep back up. I mean, I just really, really believe that it was a big deal on where he's at. So, so I'm tickled pink with both of these guys. Now, we did do something really, really interesting, which you will see on the videos here. I don't know if it'll be today or tomorrow. Or I know Brett's kind of piecing all that stuff together, but I went frog fishing for the first time. They were talking about it one day after, because the pond that we hunted one night, like I've never seen frogs like this. They're giants. And so I told some of the guys, I'm like, guys, like they're just giant frogs. And they're like, oh yeah, those are bullfrogs. They're great to eat. They're all this stuff. And so the next day we finished pretty early. We limited out, and they're like, well, you guys want to go frog fishing? And I was like, what are you talking about frog fishing? They're like, well, we take fishing rods and we go catch those big bullfrogs, and we'll fry them up. I'm like, okay, and so we went out there. Oh my gosh, we had an absolute ball. I mean, if you have never seen a bulldog or a bullfrog, not bulldog, a bullfrog go attack a lure and actually catch it and have it on, it's a riot. You guys got to go watch it if you've never done it. Now, if you're one of my southern guys and gals, you're probably rolling your eyes going, we've done that my entire life. Get it. But this northern small town Wisconsin kid has never done that before, and we had an absolute riot with us. You guys will have to go check that out. Okay, so here's what I want to finish with here. So I want to talk about, let's see here. I want to get this message up. Okay. Message up. Okay. So this guy, friend of mine, well, he's a friend for sure, but I've met him a few times at hunt tests. And he sent me this message, and I felt like it was worth reading. And so we're going to reference a guy named Chris Aiken in here, who is a friend of mine, really good friend. I really like Chris a lot. And I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's an enormous message. But it was kind of a venting message for him. And he knows kind of my methods. Actually, I believe he's a Retriever Roadmap member. He's a professional trainer, but again, I think just a student of the game, likes understanding, different approaches, different thoughts, different methodology. And so I'm going to read you this message, which I think is really interesting. So he said, "Hey, dude, hope all's well with you and the family. Just a little vent here, but I thought this was an interesting read." He said, "A guy on a dog site, which I'm assuming is Facebook, and as I've talked to you guys before, like, one of the reasons I'm so proud of the Retriever Roadmap group is because of how that community handles itself. There is no bashing. There is no, it's a fantastic group. But I think just about every other dog site that I've been on Facebook is absolute garbage, from the people in the comments and everything else. So a guy on a dog site said he was hunting with his dog, and it was force fetched, but when he shot his first birds, he wouldn't pick them up until he grabbed them and threw them. Now, in my mind, no big deal. So many people in the comments told him to go back to force fetch. I don't agree if the dog's already been force fetched. Now, I will admit I don't know the dog or the trainer, of course, but I never question the training when I don't know. But as you know, and as you talk about, hunting is different than training. Word of advice, you better make it fun or you can ruin a dog so he won't hunt. I believe this is a lot of what you talk about a lot of what you talk about when you speak of mishandling a young dog. You need to make it fun. It can take several hunts to several seasons to make a good hunting dog. Put your ego in check. If you think pressure or kicking his, I'm going to say butt, is the answer. And I'm telling you guys, like, there's a lot of people that would immediately go to that physical, butt kicking. Now, saying that there is a time and place for everything, pressure to perform is a real thing. They have to relax and have a good time. This is how you tell trainers that hunt versus trainers that train. Trainers ain't hunting, and hunting ain't training. He's a Southern boy. I would go after him for his his punctuations there, but it would do everyone good to remember that. I have a great story for you, as you may know this story from our good friend Chris Aiken and his dog named Boomer. So if you guys even if you look up Chris Aiken and Boomer, like Boomer he was a very very accomplished dog. Chris won the Super Retriever Series, the Great American Outdoor Games, with him. He was a really, really nice dog. I have hunted with a lot of Boomer puppies, with Chris, but I never got to hunt with Boomer himself. So, but I've hunted with Chris many times down in Arkansas. He said he picked up more ducks than most. Plus, he was a Grand Hunting Retriever champion, master hunter, and won the outdoor games. The first hunt that Chris took him on, he was already a bad, I can say ass on here, right? Badass. He was a badass hunter retriever champion. They killed over 30 on that hunt, and he never picked one up. I remember Chris calling me, shaking his head like WTF. In fact, the whole season was bad, and he kept carrying him and calling me and literally laughing at this dog. The last day of season, they smoked him in the woods, and the light came on, and from that point, it was history. He literally picked up thousands in his lifetime. I'm going to skip forward because he talks about specific hunting spots that he and I know about, but you probably wouldn't. No matter how many hunters or how high the winds and spraying them all over season. God, I don't really know what he meant, but I guess. So as dove and teal seasons start, I remember this, you have to hunt a trained dog and train a hunting dog. I don't know if I'm misreading that or maybe I'm missing. He's saying, anyway, people need to trust their dog and always remember to leave something in it for the dog. Not saying you won't have things fixed in the field, but if your yard work is solid, the rest will work itself out. Big difference in scolding old dogs and young dogs trying to make them learn. And I just feel like this story resonates with a lot of what you talk about with young dogs, especially when they hit the field. And, like I read some of that. Maybe I didn't read it all the way through and I stumbled through some of what he was saying, but hopefully that rings true. Like that's a great example of, and I actually didn't know that story about Boomer, but there's a great message there. As accomplished of a dog that you could ask for. I do know that dog picked up thousands of birds because Chris hunts literally every day of duck season. And for the first year, like for the first hunt, would not pick up a bird. For the first season was not a good one, right? But here's a dog that developed into that. So like it's just the reality. Training is not hunting. Hunting is not training. And he's exactly right in that. Like you can tell when trainers hunt or when trainers just train. Like then there's a big difference in the two of them. And so having the perspective and having the understanding of when your dog goes out and doesn't perform like you're wanting and doesn't do what they do in training and doesn't have, whatever, like that is normal. It is okay. Take it, learn from it, progress. And guess what? If he goes out and again, like use that story, you guys. Like if they go out and the second time it doesn't work, that's fine. Don't panic. Go apply it again and find a way. Like this is a Rubik's Cube. How many, if you guys have been athletes in your life, how many times have you seen someone that has been extremely talented and gifted as an athlete? And in practice, they look lights out. But when you take them into the game, they cannot perform. I think a lot of times that has to do with the expectations are so high because they're so good. And then the second they're not successful, everything comes down on them. Coach comes down on them. They come down on themselves, and the confidence is never there. The ability certainly is. So where's the disconnect? It's in the mind. So for these dogs, they need the time and repetition to build into something. If you are going out in the first hunt, let alone the first season, and are expecting your dog to be an all-star, you have already put yourself in a lose situation. If they exceed your expectations, that's fantastic. But temper them to where they should be. Just because the dog was at a trainer, just because you've worked your butt off all summer long, just because you've done that doesn't guarantee success. Now, not doing any of that will almost certainly guarantee failure. But all of that does not guarantee that success. You keep putting the time in the field, they're going to get there. I cannot tell you how many dogs we have had in that have been absolute rock stars in training. But then come to find out they're probably going to hunt 3 to 5 times a year. Like that dog will never be an all-star hunting dog. You don't give them enough opportunities. They need that time in the field. They need that time to understand the game to where they can go excel and apply it. It's the reality. I thought it was a really neat story. So then it begs the question, how do you as the handler go into, I'm going to say the first season, I'm going to say every season, and go make sure it's successful. Okay, so I'm going to turn my my computer back on here because if I have the computer on, I swear I have ADD or there's something there that I can't focus. I'll start reading what's on the screen. I can't focus on what I'm talking about. Okay, so here's what I did. I looked into this. I'm like, okay, so what makes it to where I feel like when I'm the most successful, what do I feel like I'm doing? And then, through Retriever Roadmap, we're doing what we call run reviews now. And those run reviews, I think I talked about in the past, but it's literally people are sending videos and we critique it, or I critique it, and we video. The whole thing is live, so you can interact with me, I can interact with you, we can talk through a situation, and I really think it's an extremely valuable thing. I mean, we've had fantastic feedback off of it. But I feel like there's a common trend in here with that too, of like there's too much reaction, and then when you're reacting, you don't know how to react to it. Okay, so here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say this is training, this is hunting, I want you to think, be proactive, not reactive. Proactive is you're being prepared. You're going into this with a plan. You're prepared for what it is you're going to see. Reactive is you're hoping. You're hoping it goes well. And now there are certainly times that being reactive probably makes it better, right? Like how many people do you know that shoot shotguns that go, oh, like I'm better at upland hunting or upland shooting because I don't have to think about it. It's instinctive. Boom, react. So when I'm waterfowling, I see them coming in, I overthink it, right? Okay, so there might be times of being reactive is a positive one. Not often with your dog. Okay, so per definition, okay, I'm going to go to this here. So per definition, proactive is acting in anticipation of future problems, needs, or changes. Being proactive is acting in anticipation of future problems, needs, or changes. That's proactive. Reactive is occurring as a result of stress or emotional upset. Now, of course, stress could be a positive thing, so that's not all bad, right? But here's where I'm going with this, okay? So I watch somebody in a training scenario, right, where the dog veers off line, okay? Tweet, give them a cast refusal, and like I'm watching this now on these videos, right? So all of a sudden there's tweet, and like the handler just freezes up because they know they don't have control of this dog. So a proactive, it would be you bring the dog in, you're like, we're not playing this game. Now we're going to go back, we're going to do whistle sits, we're going to do baseball, we're going to go back to this, right? Or proactive is, I've seen him do this before, I bring him back in, heal with him for a minute, bring him back, do the same thing, and he runs better. Like whatever it is, proactive is having that plan. Reactive is tweet, give him a cast, they do something wrong, go tweet, and then you're like, oh my gosh, and then you're trying to figure, okay, how do I do this? I'm a doctor, I'm a nurse, I only get to train twice a week on a good week. What do I do? And meanwhile, the dog's like, well, she doesn't know what's going on, so I'm going to do something. Then you're like, reactive is not the way to handle it. So be proactive. Make the plan. So to me, being proactive was, I'm going out with Tucker, and I have a staged plan of what it is I want to do. So the first thing was, I wanted to watch Brock retrieve the first 5. Okay, everything's good. We checked that off. Now the next one is, I want your first one to be as much of a gimme as possible. Okay, check that one off. Okay, we look at today, you were steady, you were calm, you were quiet, you were under control, you honored, you retrieved a hand, you did everything perfect. Okay, now day 2, you get day 2 by yourself. Now it's on you. Okay, now, here, you know what I mean? So you can see where I'm going with this. Be proactive. Don't be reactive. I think that will really, really, really help. So I'm going to wrap this one up here because I have some stuff I have to get done here this afternoon. And as you know now, I have to make sure that I am at school no later than 2:45 or I will get scolded as my daughter needs to be picked up. Before it was 4, and it was like, yeah, it could be 4:10, it could be 3:50, it could be, well, this is like, I'm understanding what this whole school thing is all about now. So I hope you guys have a great week. Well, here's what I'm going to leave you guys with. Be proactive, not reactive, and understand the season as you watch it develop. Put yourself in the dog's shoes, okay? Time and repetition, will equal success. Be patient. You'll get there. Have a great rest of your week.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Leave us a review on iTunes, and a special thank you to Yukonuba, because without them, we couldn't do what we do here, bringing this information to you.